I know some of you would have come across several news in relation to cyber attack across the world. It has become a constant event now, because every time I turn left or I turn right, there is a news on a cyber attack or crime somewhere. I remember in around 2021, I believe October, thereabout, the National Health Service in the United Kingdom, England, when I mean the National Health Service, we're talking of budget around millions, was hacked. And what the hackers, what they did is they mismatched information. So, which means all the blood tests that were carried out by practitioners or the team of people who do the tests or take the blood, they realized that the information has been just messed up. So you don't know which blood belongs to who. That was a big situation. However, the software company was fined, but that was almost like a warning. We're talking around 2021. There's been other situation of hacking before then. And again, another incident now resurfaced in 2024. You're talking about the Transport for London. That is a big government department. Was hacked, I think around September 2024. And credit card data were stolen, people's information, date of birth, addresses. And at the very stage when the news came out, they said about 5,000 people information were taken. Just imagine that kind of cyber attack. So this all the way from 2021, 2022, there's been different cyber attack, and it just make the world feel insecure in terms of security wise. Because if all this attack will continue the way it is, the most recent one which I saw last week was now in a different sector, which is retailers. We are talking about major retailers globally who operate globally. Some of them include Marks and Spencer's, which is a big retailer in the United Kingdom, in France, America. Big retailer. They were hacked. And Marks and Spencer's, they do credit cards, they do loans, they do jewelry, clothing, big chain. They were hacked. And they estimated that the cost of that cyber attack is around $400 million. The cost of the attack. Imagine people's data, address, personal information that has been stolen by these hackers or these cyber criminals. When I thought the tide was over, I come to realize that there were other big retailers or supermarkets that were also hacked. One of them was a cooperative supermarket, also big retailer was hacked. They tried to minimize the impact or the risk of the impact, but they couldn't do it on time. Christian Dior, which is a big brand, was also hacked. And Harrods, most of you would have heard about Harrods. Harrods is a big chain or a high-end brand in England, which was the story of Harrods. Most of you would know. The owner of Harrods, Mohammed Al-Fayed, whose son was involved in a relationship with the Princess of England, Princess Diana. We all know, some of us know this story. And since then, Harrods has been sold to this new Middle Eastern brand or Middle Eastern, the Qatar group, who are responsible for Harrods now. Imagine Harrods being hacked. Do you know the number of celebrities who use Harrods? Even the late Michael Jackson used Harrods. Diana Ross. Name all the top of the range celebrity. Name it in Hollywood, in Bollywood, name it. They've used Harrods. They've used their bank, their finance information. They've used it. Their data, their name it. They've used it in Harrods. They were hacked. Just imagine what is going on in the world of insecurity. As much as all these things are happening with cybercrime, hacking, I still don't understand why the investment has not been ramped up. They need to ramp up investment in this area, because the only way to minimize and manage this situation is to ramp up immediately more investment, more education, more degrees, more career in this level. I know the government is doing everything possible to make sure young upcoming IT people go into cybersecurity and things like that, but they need to speed up, because it's coming very fast and furious, fast and thick. It's coming at a lightning speed, to a point whereby we don't even know if we are safe anymore with our Android phones or with our iPhones. We don't know we don't know, because the hackers seem to always find a loophole somewhere. Somehow they always find a loophole. As much as you think your device is secure, you get all the security software installed, you are up to date in terms of your security, you create a strong password, you make everything that you need to do in order to have a secure device, you put them in place. But you would ask yourself this question: if a big brand, major brands are being hacked, so you would now say, what guarantees your security? Because if the major players are subjected to this particular, they are vulnerable. The major players are vulnerable. So what stops you from being vulnerable? And I've seen people whose phones have been hacked. I've seen cases where their bank details have been stolen because their phones were hacked. It's going to be a new thing now, which has to be tackled has to be tackled with immediate effect. I know I saw a news in one media channel. I think it's called, what's it called, First Media or First News. They carry this big news. I think it's this week commencing the 20th of May. They carry this big news and say, oh, there is a virus, there is a spread of virus, and so it was a massive news. And I was looking at this news and I was thinking, maybe I'll try to sample the news. And I was thinking, why are you not drawing people's attention to the cyber security and making sure people go and change their passwords because if you have been hacked and you have not changed your password, then you've exposed yourself to millions of hackers who are out there, and they're spreading this big news. There's a virus, people have been infected in somewhere in Asia. There's a virus spreading. It's this, it's that. I checked the World Health Organization website. I couldn't see anything major, anything alarming, but this media is like carrying it. Oh, it's a big deal. I personally think, in my own view, in my own analysis, the next attack or anything will be to do with the internet. It would definitely be in the internet. And I see there's this lady in America. She always do a show. What's her name? I think Candice Owen. And she was saying the internet is going to shut down, or if something happens to the internet. I think the next global shutdown or global something attack will be the internet shutting down. This almost happened. I see around 2023. WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram went out. They shut down for like 3 hours. No, not 3 hours. They shut down. I think they shut down for 6 hours. I remember I picked it up in a 3-hour time frame because I tried to use my software or my app and it wasn't working. 3 hours late. But apparently, these platforms went out for 6 hours. And there were a lot of users who were stressed, depressed. Some people smashed their phone because they were so connected. They are so emotionally connected to using these softwares and these applications. So when they shut down for 6 hours, globally, there was reported spike, stress, depression, panic. The spike was unbelievable. And this is why, from my own analysis, I'm looking at it in a way that cyber attackers, they've sensed the impact of platforms or the internet network or World Wide Web shutting down. They know that this is the impact. And they will be folding their hands thinking, okay, perhaps we can use this to make a negotiation. We can use this to our advantage. And they will be thinking that way. And most of you will know recently there was a situation in Spain, or I think Spain and Portugal. There was a power outage and shut down in electricity for 10 hours. And some people who were being interviewed, and they said that the power grid was being infiltrated by attackers. So people attacked the power grid. There was no evidence if it was done in terms of somebody going to attack the software or someone attacking the power company or whatever equipment. There was no evidence, but people were saying this could have been an attack on the power grid, because how can the power grid shut down for 10 hours? Imagine the impact on businesses, the impact on financial institutions, and the impact on the economy. There's so much impact. The impact is insane. And for 10 hours, the Spanish power holding company could not restore energy back to users or to consumers. And it raised a lot of questions, because to have this kind of major impact, which was all over the news globally, you would think, what is going on? And this is why people need to learn how to do things without the internet. Learn how to do things without search engines like Google. And other search engines, you have to learn how to do things without them. There are numerous search engines. You have to train yourself to know how to tackle situations, or just that kind of survivor mode when you don't have the internet or when you don't have any search engine. What can you do? You have to get yourself into that particular mode, because that time is going to come whereby cyber attack will be out of control. And if this happens, if people cannot access bank funds, you cannot access your money in your bank, you cannot use your credit card, you cannot use your debit card. There was one particular financial bank that suspended their credit card because of hackers. I think people were trying to use their credit card and it wasn't working. So ask yourself, what would you do? This is a big question mark. What would you do if the whole attack is going to become regular now? Because that's where it's going, becoming everywhere now. What are you going to do when that happens? What are you going to do? people need to ask themselves that question. You have to work towards life without the internet, or life without social media, life without search engine. You have to create a life without these things, so that you can know. As much as we have artificial intelligence, we have the new revolution, because AI is going to obviously revolutionize the world. AI is going to change everything. But if that AI shuts down, what's going to happen? If the internet shuts down, most of you would have seen the movie The Terminator, whereby eventually they had to shut down the Terminator. They had to shut down Skynet, because the Terminator went out of control. And it's almost starting to feel like that with the internet. It seems like as if it's going out of control a little bit. And when something it can only be hacked when it's so out of control. As much as the automation is there, imagine all those technology that runs on automation, automated systems, autopilot in a plane. Think of the technology that runs on automation. What will happen if a cyber criminal gets their hand on one of those technology? Some of you would know there was an incident with the Malaysian plane that disappeared. I don't know, MH370 or a Malaysian plane that disappeared and nowhere to be found up to this very day. The pilot lost control of the plane. Again, it raises questions. These are big question mark. An automated technology. If the wrong person gets their hand on an automated technology, what is going to happen? The internet is great. Don't get me wrong. It helps us in so many ways. It makes our life more easier, make things more convenient. The side effects of it, the disadvantage side of it. Before, the disadvantage was very, very minimal, but now the disadvantage is almost here, using the internet. The amount of things that is happening with the internet, the amount of things that's happening, the increase in hackers, the increase in attacks, it's becoming unmanageable. You almost can't manage it now. So let's wait and see what the future will bring. Hopefully, we will have a secure internet, worldwide web connection that will not shut down.